So I actually had the privilege to chat with Chiefs defensive back Nazeeh Johnson, who is entering year 3 of his NFL career and currently 90% back to his normal self after tearing his ACL just before last season started during training camp. We talked about how the injury happened, being able to watch the Super Bowl as a quote-unquote fan, him offering advice to Charles Omenihu, who was going through the same recovery, his thoughts on the Sneed trade, intriguing upcoming players on the roster, his expectations for this year, and more. He also talked about his foundation, which is all about embracing families affected by mass incarceration, since his parents were actually incarcerated for a bit when he was growing up. So without further ado, let's get into it. But first, how about those? Most people probably know you tore your ACL last year and during training camp. How are you feeling now? And what would you say your health level is at just as you get back to the grind?
I'm feeling wonderful, man. Obviously, I did tear my ACL back in camp, but I mean, I'm about 9 months now, and I think about 90%. So they have me out there running, jumping, cutting, and everything like that with a brace on. I'm not medically cleared to do team work yet. 707, I haven't been cleared to do that yet, but I'm doing everything else. I'm running, sprinting, decelling, all that, cutting. So I'm doing all that right now. It's just, I have, if anybody ever tore their ACL or anything with their knee, you have pain in front of your knee, which hurts when you decel. So that's the only thing I'm working on, fighting through. And then also working on the workload. I haven't had the workload on that knee yet. So that's why sometimes we're just easing into it right now.
When most people have knee surgery, I'm actually getting my knee cleaned up end of June. It's something super minor. I'll be walking and doing stuff within a week or so. But like the average person, we're just trying to get back to like walking up the stairs or bending over to pick up a toy for our kid or something. But somebody like you, a professional athlete, I mean, you're getting back to a level where the average person could never even begin to get in the first place. So I'm sure that's been pretty grueling. And even at 90%, I'm sure it's had, or just been a little bit of setbacks and frustrations here and there, I would imagine.
Yes, I mean, I'm getting frustrated with myself is when I decel, I still have like minor discomfort in my knee. And I'm like, I keep on a glove, my trainer. I'm like, why am I still feeling it? And he's like, it's just part of growing pains. I asked a couple other people, like Drew, he tore his ACLs prior, and he was like, it's always going to be there. I asked Turk, he said it's still going to be there. So I asked a couple of people that been through the process before, and they said something that you just got to work through. And they just give me tips and stuff how to minimize that feeling.
How was that when, like, you initially found out? I mean, I know you tore your ACL at training camp. It was indoor practice, so like it wasn't actually caught on camera by any of the fans attending or anything like that. But once you went down, I'm sure you were like, something ain't right. This hurts. Once you got tests and you found out it was an ACL, what was that like for you and your mindset of like, dude, I've been working this hard, coming back for year 2, and you were starting to work with the ones at training camp too on the defensive side of the ball, and then it felt like just everything was kind of taken out from under you. What was that like, and how did you process through that as the months went by?
So the initial, when I tore it, man, I'm thinking I just hyperextended my knee, how the whole play happened. The back shoulder throw against Jay Watson. He adjusted to the ball, and I tried to adjust to it, and my body twisted a certain way. I tried to plant on my right leg, and I get stuck in the ground, and then it just snapped and just went. And it felt like a whole bunch of stingers in my knee at one time, and I didn't want to be touched or anything. Everybody was quiet. It was super quiet in the indoor facility. I had training staff run over to me to make sure everything was all right, but it didn't set in until I got to the locker room. That's when I really broke down, started crying. I'm like, man, I was on a climb of potentially becoming a starter, somebody that's second corner. I know a lot of people probably don't know that I was drafted as a safety, but converted into a corner of mine in a couple months of being with the Chiefs. So starting to understand the how to play corner and understanding the playbooks is why I excelled so fast. But man, when that happened, I was like, man, why me? You know what I'm saying? I started questioning a lot of things, and but then I had a good support around me. You know, the Fab Five really, they said, you got it, man. You're going to get through this. And pull back to everything. It was like somebody said, if this is all you have to worry about in life, I think you're in a pretty good spot. So that actually changed my whole mindset about, tearing my knee and everything. mean, I was still getting paid really good for tearing my ACL. So it's like there's a lot other things to worry about.
Hey man, I like that perspective a lot, but at the same time, like, this is what you've been working for your entire life. I just looked it up before our interview because I was curious. Like, you were a 7th round pick, which some people can look at that whatever way they want, but the fact that you got drafted, the percentage of players that start off in high school, get to college, and then are actually able to get drafted, it is way less than like 1%. So you are in a super small territory of something that everybody strives to have happen. You had it happen 7th round. And so you're overcoming the odds. You're working towards becoming a starter. That happens. I know that had to have been pretty detrimental. They put you on IR for the year. So when you're on IR for the year, I'm just curious as a fan, are you basically free to kind of do what you want? Are they expecting you to, are you in all the meetings still? Are you going to the games? Like, what does that look like for you last year when you were out for the entire season?
They wanted me in the meetings all year, but it was up to me at the end of the day. When I got my surgery, I was in the facility just rehabbing in there for like 3 hours and then going home. I try to be less of a distraction to everybody. And then once I started becoming more healthier and we started getting closer to like the Super Bowl and the playoffs, started going to meetings, popping in every other week, just to say hello to everybody, but mainly just stay behind closed doors, let them focus on what they need to focus on.
During all that time, as you got better, playoffs hit, did you go to the Super Bowl? Did you get to experience that?
I had to experience that. It was different. I got to watch this year as a fan almost.
Right.
With every game, they're at home or on the sideline, but just seeing it differently from the fans' point of view was pretty cool. Knowing what calls they were in or trying to guess what calls they were in because I know the playbook was also interesting as well. So,
what was that like for you? I mean, I'm sure it sucked, dude, because you wanted to be out there. But what was it like to see? I mean, that's your brothers, man, out there fighting, and they win back to back. What was that experience like for you? Even just if it was to be happy for your teammates that you've been battling with for a couple of years at this point.
It was good because it was like I was supposed to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just me being potentially becoming a part of that was amazing. But seeing those boys out there and produce, knowing that how hard camp is, how Andy Reid's practices are, them boys overcome a lot of things. We had ups and downs during the season, but everybody ultimately stick together. I was in the locker room when the offense wasn't doing as well, and defensive players are picking them up, and ultimately we were a team. So it was good seeing all that camaraderie and everything. But those boys really went to work every day, and I got to see that from my own eyes, and that's why we won back to back.
Love it, man. Somebody that did get hurt though right before the Super Bowl, same injury. I mean, ACL. Charles Omenihu, defensive end Charles Omenihu. Have you been able to chat with him at all? Just as he is basically going through what you went through 6 months. I think he's 3 months out and you're 9 months out. So you're 6 months ahead. But if you had a chance to chat with him and offer him any encouragement during this time,
we talk to each other every day. When I see him in the facility, or he texts me and calls me. I know when he first toured, he called me and I was telling him how things go, keep his head up and everything. But yeah, he's looking at what I'm doing now and thinking he could do that now. And I was like, bro, you got to calm down a little bit. But also, he's actually doing really well. He's actually ahead of his time right now. And I was just telling him everything that he needs to focus on if he wants to get back and playing at a high level in the season. Also telling them things that may hinder you because I'm going through it right now, and just trying to give a positive outlook on things and be realistic with him in his expectations.
Yeah, that's awesome. I figured you guys were in touch in some capacity, just similar injury. I'm sure the tear wasn't exactly the same. And, that's a guy that really battled adversity last year, spent some time suspended, came back, he was phenomenal. I mean, some game-changing plays too, even in the AFC Championship. Before he got hurt, there was some game-changing stuff that he was doing. So I was definitely bummed, but just like with you, man, I'm rooting that he's able to come back full strength. I would assume somewhere mid-season-ish, maybe longer, but as soon as he can come back, I'm down. And then for you, man, I would hope you're good to go by the start of the season.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting on getting cleared from the doctor. I'm at that point. So the team's taking me slow. They don't need me back in OTAs because you don't have nothing to prove in OTAs. Just making sure I have no setbacks and hit the ground running. My biggest thing with ACL is I can't afford to not be on the same level that I was before. I have to be just at the level or better than I was. But, a lot of people have to understand that with ACL, most people don't come back the same because it's a learning curve. You got to trust your knee. You got to do all this stuff. So, but ultimately, I don't have that time to do that. So I got to figure it out. I'm going to be ready for it. But I have a great team around me for sure.
You still in touch at all with Juan Thornhill? Because I know you guys were teammates and he went through that and came back. And he's doing well. I don't know if have you had any contact with him? Has he given you any words of encouragement just since the 9-month span that you've been going through your recovery?
Yeah, he was a big help to me because he was telling me he tore his, I think it was his, I don't know if it was rookie year or second year, he tore his as well. And he was just telling me all the things he did. And he was telling me when you get back, you got to just be able to trust it because it's healed. You just got to, just let go and just do it. But he's been a great encouragement to me, and seeing where he's at now, it makes me want to push even harder for it.
Heck yeah, man. It always sucks to see players go. I think of Juan Thornhill. I think of a lot of players because I covered the team. But one guy that recently went that I did not want to see go, Sneed, traded to the Titans. What was that like for the DB room after they basically were sensing that he was going to be traded? It's business at the end of the day, but that was a staple piece of the DB room, man. So what were the kind of the mindset of everybody once that happened?
Oh, shoot. We was very happy for him, happy and sad because it's like Sneed is, all we know is Sneed and being in the room and stuff like that. 2 years in the league, he was always there. But seeing him get that bag, it only motivates all of it because it's like we could beat him potentially one day. So all we can do is pay our respects and, execute at a high level next season, showing that he was a big mentor for us and just, leave it out on the field and pay our respects in that aspect.
I hope that for everybody that they get a bag. Sneed's story is pretty crazy with his parents spending time behind bars. Like some players just have some crazy stories, man. So I love to see it when they're able to push through all that, persevere, and get that bag. At the end of the day, I was super happy for him. And this is a little detour, but it seems like football aside, personal life stuff, man. I don't know when exactly this happened, but you got engaged somewhat recently, right? I found this.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. Getting married in 2025.
We had the old school car. It was going with the Bonnie and Clyde type theme and, had my 2 Dobermans with us. So it was fun. It's going to be nice.
Hey, since you mentioned them, I was going to ask, what are their names?
So my female is the one closest to the camera. That's Kona, and the male is Calm. Yeah, they're the same Doberman, but they're 2 different. The male is a European Doberman, so he's way bigger than her, and she's an American Doberman. They look totally different, but obviously similar at the same time.
My grandma had 2 Doberman when I was growing up, and they were freaking awesome, dude. I mean, obviously guard dogs and they'll protect you, but like they were goofy and I had so much fun with those dogs.
They do everything, man. My backyard is almost destroyed because they take down trees. Like I don't even know how they take branches off the trees. That's just so high. They dig holes. They just all over the place, but they're really good dogs, though. I love them to death.
It's freaking awesome, man. I know that was a small detour, but speaking of dogs, who are some guys maybe that you see? I mean, you were at OTAs this week, right? Did you go to all 3 sessions?
I don't miss any days.
Okay, yeah, I figured you were there and you've been around, so because that's just how you are and who you are. I know your work ethic. Who are some of the guys maybe that you feel like are potential risers this year in that room? I mean, I think about like you got like Nick Jones going into year 2. I don't know if you've had a chance to. I would assume you have, but meet Miles Battle. He was an intriguing UDFA that they just signed, and then you've got the 6th-round pick Kamal Haddon. Any of those guys standing out? And then obviously you've got others. You've got Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams heading into year 3 as well.
I think the younger class is actually standing out all well. The rookies coming in, all they can understand, their heads are spinning. So they don't know, but they're competing out there. Hicks, he's making his plays. They put a lot on his plate. I mean, they have him learning quite a few positions. So I understand his head is spinning, but he's showing up and showing out. You got Kamal. He's getting there. He's a long corner. He has a very, attributes. Obviously, the playbook is something that he's also working on. When you're thinking about the playbook. You're not really thinking about your technique or anything like that. But it's all a work in progress. I think they have very, very good upside. Battle, he's tall and he's fast, so that's going to be good. But I think who's really surprising me is Chamari. I mean, they got him at nickel, and then he goes to safety. So they have him playing a lot of positions. And right now, I think he's our starting nickel right now. I mean, how I see it. He's taking a big leap. That man can cover. He can play safety. He's very versatile. And, Nick Jones is right there with him. So it's crazy to see that they're, taking over that nickel spot, and you can keep Trent at the corner. So it's pretty cool to see.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Chamari Connor is an interesting guy that I know he played like 5 positions last year in some capacity, and Dave Merritt was just saying, I don't know if he's ever had a rookie do that before. So I'm intrigued about his year too. He stepped in and played more when Bryan Cook got injured, and that was a gnarly injury. If you want to talk about injuries, the first time I've seen him back and even knew how he was, he shared an Instagram video of him working, and he looks good. I mean, you're kind of along the same lines of him, right? He can't do teams, but you guys can do individual drills and stuff like that.
He's a work in progress. I mean, we're both trying to figure out our limitations with our injuries. We both have certain, growing pains with our injuries, and certain cuts and stuff, feel difficult than others. But he's on the right path. We're both going to be reporting to rookie camp early this year. So we got time to, work out the kinks, but he's going to be fully back by the time camp hits.
So that's great news, because the Chiefs are really good at keeping injuries under wraps. But when you saw what happened to his ankle, how far it spun, I was like, yo, that's not good. And they basically never told, and I'm not asking for details, but they basically never said anything about him after they put him on IR. And they probably do that to honor the player. I was just ecstatic to see him back working and looking as good as he is, and ecstatic to see you back, because injuries are tough, man. So to be able to bounce back from that, that's something special. Have you had a chance? Kamal Hadden was a 6th-round pick out of Tennessee. So, that's a guy that was drafted in the later rounds. Several teams passed him up multiple times. That, and I say this with all due respect to you, but like that happened to you as a 7th-round pick. I guess it's a twofold question. Do you come in with a chip on your shoulder of like, hey, these teams passed up on me, like I'm going to take advantage of this moment and kind of make my mark, no matter what round I was drafted in? And then the flip side of that question is, if you've had a chance to talk with Kamal Hadden, with him being a 6th-round pick, what words of advice or encouragement have you given to him, or would you give to him if you had the chance?
Me being a 7th-round pick, I feel like I was passed up on, but understanding that I wasn't fully developed in certain aspects. So there's a reason why I was a 7th-round pick, and understanding there's growing pains in this. So just taking it day by day and just going in there and grinding. Doesn't mean I can't play because I wasn't a high draft pick. It's just, certain areas I just wasn't fully developed. Understanding that gave me a big chip on my shoulder. And then also, the advice that I always give them is like, come in here with your head down and just work. Don't look about who's in front of you and all that, start counting numbers and stuff, because sometimes you never know what the front office is thinking. All you can do is just go out every day and just compete. And I always tell them big, especially late round guys, being a special teams guy. A lot of them don't want to hear that. A lot of them don't want to hear being a special teams guy. They try to, overlook it and be like, I'm going to be a starter and stuff like that, but not understanding that this is ways to make teams and give you an opportunity to play, defense. So, and he understood that. He's hard on himself, very hard on himself, because he believes he'd be messing up on the calls and stuff. But I was telling him, like, this is a very hard defense to understand, but he's getting it. And I think once he gets it, he's going to excel very well. But I was just telling him, like, as a late round guy, you got to get it, be Tobe's right hand man, and just to get your foot in the door.
Well, hey, speaking of that, I mean, you earned your stripes through special teams. Dave Tobe even said by the end of your rookie season, he said he would have put you as, if not the best, one of the top gunners in the entire NFL, man. So that's pretty big words from Dave Tobe.
Look at my story, for example. Late round guy, didn't initially make the team, and then got brought up to the team. Was inactive all the way up to, I think, week 12, and then since then just took over on special teams, which gave me a chance to fight for a position the following year. and potentially become a starter. So that's what I'm trying to tell these young guys. It doesn't matter how you make the team. As long as you're in that building, you have a chance to, make the 53 and stuff like that. Because a lot of people wish they were still in the building that didn't take it so seriously because they didn't want to be a special teams guy. I mean, you still get paid the same. A lot of people think doesn't make as much money because he plays special teams. You still get paid. Everybody still makes a base salary at the end of the day. But it gives you an opportunity to stay in the building, get paid, and have a chance to fight for a starting position. Because you get a year to just focus on special teams, but also understand the playbook better. And you get an opportunity the following year to, compete for a starting job. So I try to tell these young guys, like I told this young linebacker, I think he was from Penn State, that, hey, you got to get right with Toad, do what you need to do to stay in the building. And it's a long season. People get hurt. You're 1 second away, one play away from being actually in the game. So a lot of people get the misconceptions because, people be like, oh, you're just on practice squad. No, there's really good talented people on practice squad, but it's numbers game too. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's a practice squad. That's why some practice squad come and make plays. I mean, look at Butler. You never heard of him until he made that play in Super Bowl. So it's all about opportunities and stuff like that. So you just got to wait your turn.
You could have been choosing to do anything right now. So the fact that you'd hop on the How About Those Chiefs channel so we could get this interview out to the subs and the followers, man, it means a lot. And it's always cool to hear like a player's perspective that, as a fan, we see things, but like you're in the trenches and you're in there. And so I appreciate your angle and just how you see things. And thanks for coming on and sharing all that.
Yeah, anytime, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you do for the community. You actually very, very detailed with your information. I like it. And I tune in every time. Me and my fiance, we have you on a big screen in our living room. We watch it, and every time we hear my name or something like that, we're like, woo! We cheer on and everything. But I appreciate what you do. It's pretty cool to have a channel like this.
That's freaking awesome. I actually assume, like, in my head, I'm like, most Chiefs players probably aren't going to watch my stuff or anybody covering them, because it's like, once you're off work, why would you want to go listen to like work stuff or others' thoughts about it? But the fact that you listen and tune in, man, that's really cool, and that's a freaking honor.
The majority of the team listens to your stuff. I mean, obviously, Coach Reed always says don't listen to the outside noise, but we do tune in to things because it's just in our face. And every time I go on somewhere, on the news feed or something like that. But a lot of my teammates do see your content for sure. It's
the beard and the bald head. They're like, oh, this guy again. So I try to be fair and balanced in my approach, and I am a Chiefs homer. Like I'm a Chiefs fan since I was born, dude. So I do stand up for the team if I hear some national BS and
unbiased about different things. I mean, just like the whole Bucker thing. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. If it doesn't match your opinion, then people have a problem with it.
Yeah, man. It's like I just let people speak their piece, and we live in a country where we're able to do that, and we can agree to disagree. And just what Kelsey said it today, Mahomes said it, Andy Reid said it. In that locker room, man, all different walks of life, all different like faiths or no faith, et cetera, and everybody can agree to disagree. And I feel like it's way more effective to talk face to face. And I'm sure the locker room talk is way better and way less divisive than anything we ever see on social media.
The way social media is, you think we're all divided in our, section. People think, like, I can go, somebody that doesn't play much or whatever, I can go talk to Patrick right now, or we go hoop and shoot basketball in the locker room. It's like, it's so, there's no hierarchy in that locker room. Everybody can talk to anybody in there. And I think that's why we win, because we play for one another and we can have those conversations. Like, Buck, he's a very, very cool guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could just talk to anybody about anything, and there's no, like, oh, he said this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, we all go home into our own world. But when we're there, we are a team. So we have those conversations.
Yeah, real life's always the best life, man. And before we get out of here, if somebody was to find you, to follow you, do you have a preferred social media? Is it Instagram, Twitter? Doesn't matter, any of them?
Instagram will be the best. It's Nazeeh. It's my Nazeeh Johnson. Also, I want to shout out my 13th Promise organization. There's a link in my bio. I founded that organization for incarcerated families, giving back to those kids, family that's incarcerated, giving the kids opportunities to grow and don't follow the same path as their own parents. It's 13th Promise, embracing families affected by mass incarceration. Our main focus, it's kids, giving back to them. We have our first free camp, June 8th. in Winchester. It's already sold out. It's a whole thought out process. It's very cool.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I want to look more into this and would love to get behind it, man. There's your camp, June 8th.
It's pretty cool. I have a whole team around it. My fiance actually helps me run it. She's big into went to school for, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome, and we can donate right from the site.
From the site, it's a whole guideline. It's the whole 9 yards. It's really thought out. So it means dearly to me because my family was incarcerated. My parents both were. And I had opportunities with football, and football gave me an opportunity to, not live. I got away from that, feeling of things like that. So football was an outlet to me. And we're trying to get that to kids where not just sports, it could be, music, things to do to get them away from what they're actually, their environment at home and stuff like that.
Well, hey, man, that's awesome and very admirable. I didn't actually know that about both of your folks. I will say this. I've chatted with your mom just loosely. She seems like the nicest lady, but also the biggest Nazeeh fan, dude.
She's the number one fan, the biggest fan, but she's always in the works doing something. She's a social media person. That's my mom, though. Love her to death.
Love it, dude. Appreciate your time. I'm going to link your foundation. I'm going to link that in the description if anybody wants to check that out, and encourage them to check out the details and to donate if they have the monetary means.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate what you're doing. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll be rooting for you from afar, man, as you continue to progress with your knee, and rooting for you to make that 53, baby. Let's go.
Thank you so much.